Ha ha ha! Heidi ho! Chrissy here, and I'm your friend to the end. It's not creepy, is it?
Is
a bit.
Not at all.
Welcome to ChuckyWatch! Basically, with Cult of Chucky getting its UK release this week, I thought what better time to look back at one of my personal favourite, absolutely batshit mental horror series, the Child's Play films, the Chucky movies, and go one by one, just chat a little bit about them. It helps if you've seen them. Don't watch these if you've not seen these movies, or if you don't care about spoilers, maybe it'll entice you to check them out. But either way, I'm here to natter, all about Child's Play this time. I'm joined by Mr. Matthew Watson.
Hello.
Look at his eyes. Look at how deep and blue they are.
Look into them.
Like a good guy doll, possessed by the killer, Charles Lee Ray. So, without further ado, Child's Play.
Child's Play.
When did you first watch Child's Play?
When you showed it, man.
Yeah! I'm his enabler.
No, it'd been on my radar for a while, and I just never got around to watching it. And then, over I think like a week or 2 weeks, me and Thee just sort of watched all of them because you love them to bits.
I'm trying to remember what it was. I think we talked about it briefly, and I just recently rewatched Curse of Chucky. And I think I was going
on Blu-ray.
Might have been. I mean, I remember I was going on about Curse of Chucky a lot and saying like, "Oh, it's great because they just sort of like they flip the tone and they do something really really uncomfortable and dark and yeah, and you should watch that one." And I think you went like, "I've not seen them all. I've not seen any of them." I'm like, what?
I've not seen any of them.
Add to that, and we'll touch on this a bit later. But add to that, like, my experience of it came from being haunted by the DVD cover of one of the movies in Blockbuster, which I found out later was a Blockbuster you worked in. like after I'd been traumatized as a child.
Yeah. We were both adults.
You weren't working there at the age of 10.
Sort of.
Well, did we ever really become adults? No, because this is Child's Play.
Child's Play.
Segue. I first got into contact with it because those DVD covers at Blockbuster freaked me out as a kid. Yeah. And then I came to high school, and I developed a fear of sort of dolls and mannequins. He says with these,
understandable
between them. This really freaked me out. It was Doctor Who Spirit from Space and Child's Play. The DVD covers or VHS covers for Child's Play that did it to me. And then in the middle of high school, a friend of mine was like, she was lending me horror films, and she basically went like, "Have you ever seen the Chucky films?" No. She was like, "Oh, you've got to watch. I'll bring them in." I was like, "Please don't.
Please don't do this to me."
And then 14-year-old me took them home and went, "Okay, go on." I challenged myself, and I thoroughly enjoyed them.
Go
on. Go on.
Go on.
Go on. I mean, what can you not love about Jack Skellington chasing Grima Wormtongue around a toy store?
Well,
that's not the entire movie, obviously, but that would be
quite the draw.
That would be a different film altogether. What is this Christmas you speak of?
Fantastic.
I'm here to take you down immediately! It's like, what are you doing? So yeah, Brad Dourif as Charles Lee Ray. Some people always point out that it was an odd pick. Like, when I was seeing Chucky retrospectives or reviews, people always go like Oscar winner Brad Dourif? Like, why would he do that? And it's like, the dude just did what was interesting.
Yeah.
Like, what he liked. I mean, Christ, he's in Exorcist 3.
Yes.
The Heretic. So yeah, which is brilliant. It's odd. And it is not the same film as The Exorcist.
Never seen it.
It's like all this stuff with split personalities.
I know there's two versions of it.
Yeah, I've only seen one, but he's creepy as sin in it, and it showed that he's got a taste for that horror vibe.
Yeah.
That sort of, oh, this is odd. I'd like to try that.
He's an odd man with a creepy countenance and aura.
Which is perfect, because when he busts into the opening scene at Child's Play, looking like Tommy Wiseau on the run from the law.
Yeah, that's a wig and a half.
It is a wig and a half. You instantly feel like this isn't, there's something a bit odd. It's not Cops and Robber, like there's something odd about this guy. It's the way he's screaming and then,
it's definitely the way he breaks out the voodoo chant.
Well, that definitely
sells it for me.
That definitely offsets everything. I mean, that visual is brilliant, though. Yeah. Just the idea of this small, Detective Mike Norris, Charles Lee Ray running around this toy store. One of them's been shot. It's all simple. and then the big swirling clouds and the lightning start appearing above the store, and it's just like, this is different. I just thought this was going to be the Twilight Zone Talkie Tina thing, but a movie. Like, what's happening?
Oh, no.
Nah, voodoo biatch. Let's stick to this movie, because we'll talk about the voodoo a bit more as it goes on, especially when we get to 4 and 5, because it starts to get mental. But let's talk Catherine Hicks. This is Karen. Mrs. Barkley.
Karen Barkley.
Mrs. Barkley. She's wonderful.
She is great.
I mean, she's wonderful in most things, but she's wonderful in this.
Well, yeah.
And I think it's because I'm going to make a comparison now, which sounds stupid on the surface, but hear me out. This is the movie that came to mind when I first watched The Babadook. Now, they're very different movies, but it's that idea of the mother, the single parent, the mother, and the young son dealing with something that is so out of their world.
Yeah.
And again, it does that thing where it focuses on Karen for most of the first movie. And Andy's obviously a big part of it, but then it switches to Andy a bit before the final act.
Yeah.
Which the Babadook sort of does. Like, we're with the mother, and then it switches more to the kid's POV toward the end. And it's just, I mean, there's nothing more frightening than the idea of a kid being in peril. And even more so when you think of, like, the mum. Like, mum's always meant to look after their kid. Like, mum is the one who's going to take care of the kid, and she can't handle this either. She's trying.
Yeah.
Like, her determination to figure out what the hell is going on and prove to Detective Norris that, like, this thing is alive is, like, it's brilliant to watch. Like, she's fantastic at it, but it does make you realise how screwed they are. Because it's like, no one's believing you, and this thing is going to take the soul of your child and live in his body.
Yeah. Because, you know...
Freaky.
What else are you going to do? with a child. If you take its soul, that's what they're for, right? They're like spares.
They're Horcruxes for hire.
They're spare parts.
Well, funny you should say spare parts, because this movie was originally called Batteries Not Included. And then another movie came out called Batteries Not Included.
Very different.
Very different sort of movie, but they had to change the title. And then it was briefly called Blood Buddy for a bit.
I don't hate that.
It's not terrible, is it?
But it doesn't have the same sort of...
It was a script that focused more on the voodoo rather than the horror, the living doll horror, and more on the voodoo itself. In fact, Don Mancini's original script for Child's Play was about the doll... you know, like the dolls that pee? Because it was obviously Chucky and Good Guy dolls were based on like Cabbage Patch Kids and those kind of dolls from the 80s. Which is why this horror movie only really works in the 80s. They always say, oh, let's remake Child's Play. You couldn't remake Child's Play now because what's Charles D. Ray going to possess? An app? Like,
it's haunted iPad.
It's not the same. It's not. I mean, then again, there's a film in that probably.
It'll come full circle when robots are common in the home.
Oh,
the haunted Roomba.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Want to play? No, I thought you just hoover up. Okay, sorry. I don't know why my Hoover has that voice.
I don't think Hoovers have any sort of voice, but we're digressing.
As we do. Like it's the 80s is very much where this film belongs as its setting.
Yes.
If you did remake it, don't.
No.
If you did remake it, set it in the 80s.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you can't like take advantage. But that's why it was so affecting. Cabbage Patch Kids and all this stuff, they were in everyone's bloody home. Every family home had them.
Well, I think it's only recently that the whole idea of the big Christmas toy has become like all electronics and consoles.
Yeah. Well, back in the day,
when we were growing up, it was the big thing. It was Thunderbird's Tracy Island for me.
Turbo Man. Like Jingle All the Way.
The Turbo Man.
It's the same premise.
Yeah, like Jingle All the Way wouldn't work today because it'd just be like, oh, I'm trying to get an iPad for my kid. Oh, I can just go to the shop and get one. Or get an Amazon Prime next day. Sorted. Unless it's like,
I need the Turbo Man doll. Click. I got it. Credits.
Maybe you could do it with the NES Mini Classic.
But same like with this, like that's yeah. I mean, just I don't know what it does to you. It just deletes the Star Fox sequel. And you're like, no,
you can't play Super Mario World.
But that was like the part of this is that Cabbage Patch Kids were a craze. That's why Andy's mum's desperate to get hold of a good guy for Andy, to the point of buying one off a peddler.
My parents have been in that situation. I mean, they didn't buy him off a peddler in a back alley, but they've been in that situation of like trying to get the Christmas toy.
Yeah. Because it's something that isn't as common now. So like the X's is where it belongs, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
It's definitely where it belongs. Christ. But let's focus on like the 80s being the setting for the movie. Late 80s is really nice. Chicago goes to this really cold, like the inner city of Chicago, this really cold,
the windy city,
like murky kind of feeling to it. It's all stone and brick and girders and snow.
Like most cities.
Yeah, I know, but like that, swine. But I mean, on the surface, it's very sort of plain.
No, yeah, there's a
and
detached,
and foreboding.
There's a dehumanising quality to the sort of urban sprawl.
I mean, right down to the original poster. The original poster of the movie doesn't feature a doll or Andy or anything. The original poster is the tower block, like the windows of the corner of the building, with the babysitter falling out, and there is a pair of eyes in the sky. And it's like, even that poster is like, there's a woman falling out of this horrible-looking building, plummeting to her death. That's what you need to come and see this movie about to kill a doll.
And I think as a title, Child's Play works because it is so sort of... There's an innocence and a playfulness to it, which might blindside you if you don't know what you're getting in for.
Yeah.
Although, to be fair, there is a playfulness to this film.
Yeah.
Not as much as the sequels, but there is definitely a comic playfulness to it.
This and Curse of Chucky are the ones so far that are the most like, oh, we're a horror film.
Yeah.
We know that our central premise is a bit goofy, but we're not going to allude to that. We're going to play it like a horror movie.
Yeah.
And it's like you say, like the title sort of evokes that tone quite nicely.
Yeah.
The original, the Blood Buddies title was more connected to the fact that version was about, how dolls peed and everything in the 80s.
Yeah,
so it was peeing dolls and pooping dolls and vomiting dolls and milk drinking dolls.
We made one what shits itself.
Pretty much. This one bleeds. It was about a doll that bled. Like the good guy sort of had bleeding, and it was focused on consumer culture and all that, because it was like if the doll cut itself and it bled, you had to go and buy the official like medical kit, like the little plasters and the band-aids. Do you see? Yeah, it's this sort of like gross corporate kind of mentality thing, consumer culture. And Andy basically made a blood pact with the doll.
Yeah.
Like a Blood Brothers sort of, all that. And then the doll manifested as Andy's id. In the previous draft. There was no Charles Lee Ray. It was all about the doll acting out on, like, so the people Andy hated, the doll went and killed them. And things like that. Interesting premise, but weird sentence to say, but much goofier than the one about the serial killer possessing the doll, I think.
And yet also darker.
Yeah, you could probably do a movie around that now with an iPad that bleeds. There we go. Oh no, my iPad! It's deleting that guy's favourite songs.
And you didn't buy an Apple Care.
Driving him insane. Andy Barclay, Alex Vincent is adorable in this movie. There is the bit which completely sold me on his performance. Like, I mean, he's cute and adorable.
Yeah.
But the bit that sold it is when he's being detained in the care centre.
Yeah.
And he sees Chucky climbing the fire escape at the opposite end of the building. And he's banging on the door, like, asking someone to come in. And he's like, screaming, Chucky's going to kill me. And he's... like, tears are streaming down his face.
He's convinced.
I'm like, like this! Save the child! And then, like, 5 minutes later, he's watching that doctor get electrocuted to death.
Yeah.
With his brain fried. Oh,
how do we feel about the deaths in this movie?
The deaths in... Yeah, I mean, this series
the kills.
This series is like a goofy horror slasher series overall, so we would be remiss if we didn't bring up the kills per movie. This one's got some great ones. The babysitter being pushed out the window is amazing.
Yeah.
Because it sets that tone of, okay, what? The guy getting electrocuted, the electrodes in his head, frying his brain is horrible, his eyes and his mouth turn red. He's just shaking on the floor, and you have this 6-year-old watching it happen.
Good time.
Terrified.
Good time.
Good time.
Yeah.
Who else dies in the first one? Eddie Caputo. Eddie Caputo. Great name. I'm gonna get Eddie, and then I'm gonna get you. He lights the gas up in the abandoned house he's staying in, and then Eddie fires his gun and bang, blows him up. Which is quite cool.
Yeah.
Who else dies in this? John, the voodoo guy, the guy who taught Charles Lee Ray voodoo on the side.
The voodoo man.
What do you think? It's like, you're an abomination. Love that stuff. Because again, like, the film only goes, oh, voodoo's a thing. during the second act. It's like, the serial killer practiced voodoo. Like, he was preparing to move his soul into something else if he was ever caught or injured fatally. Just happened to be a human-shaped thing. One of these guys.
Could have been an iPad.
Could have been a balloon just floating around Chicago.
Killer Balloon. Now that's a movie I'd watch.
I gotta get out of this body. Oh shit! A breeze. It's like flies away. Pennywise grabs him. Like, you'll do. And walks around with him.
Now that's a team up. That's a team up I'd like to see.
They've both got shocking red hair. That's enough, right, for content.
Was there going to be a Chucky team up movie?
Not around this era, but there was always whispers, especially because Ronnie Yu directed Bride of Chucky, and then went to do Freddy vs. Jason. So people were like, maybe there was at one point, and I don't know if this was verified, but there was talks about Chucky and Leprechaun, which is really crap because they don't kind of fit in the same sense of humour at so much. Like, Leprechaun's very goofy. Like, really goofy, whereas Child's Play, the deaths sort of are deaths. Leprechaun is like, look how funny this death is.
Leprechaun is not very good.
Maybe like Child's Play 2-3 era Chucky and early Leprechaun you could have... But I think the only reason people were doing it is because they were like, oh, well, they're tiny killers. And it's like, and? Like, what would a Leprechaun need a doll for? That doesn't make any sense. Like, Freddy could use the good guy doll, for example. Like, prey on the people who know about the urban myth of this killer doll and things like that. And I don't know. But then there was a script for Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash, so that took precedent.
Oh, okay.
And then never happened, and then got released as a comic by Dynamite. Which I've got, actually. I've got that somewhere.
As most things do.
It's not bad. That one makes more sense, because it's like a horror crossover with two bad guys and a good guy who could deal with them. This makes more sense. Instead of just lining up a bunch of teenagers to be killed. And that's why this stands out in the slasher genre as well, is because it's not just, here's a bunch of teenagers.
It doesn't follow that sort of final girl, virginal teen survives the nightmare while everyone who enjoys their vices gets murdered for it. Sort of template of horror and slasher movies of the 80s. Which is not to say that is not a fun template for a fun horror movie, but this is notable, This is notable for shirking that sort of tradition.
Because there's only two heads on the chopping block in the movie as well. It's Detective Mike Norris and Eddie Caputo. Like, they're the only two names. They're the only two people who are going to be killed.
Yeah.
Anyone else is incidental, and it's just him getting to what he needs to do. Because this film introduces the premise of, you transferred your soul. The only way you're getting out of that body is if you transfer your soul into the body of the person who knows who you are. Which is a really convoluted sort of thing, but obviously for this first movie on its own, works perfectly.
Yeah.
It's like, right, I'm in this object, this person knows who I am, they're the next home. Like that, it works fine. Obviously Andy knows he's Charles Lee Ray. Oh god. And of course Chucky's death. We didn't bring up Chucky's death. So, in this movie...
And what a death it is.
He gets burnt to a crisp.
Yep.
Then shot to pieces, and then his disembodied head screams, commanding what's left of his body to choke out the other detective before his torso is finally shot in the heart.
Because he's slowly becoming
human.
Flesh and blood.
Like, the longer he's in the body, the longer he'll be trapped there, the more it'll just be his body. Which is, again, a great idea. Like, the idea of this plastic thing slowly changing enough that's like, hang on, it's bleeding. Wait, the eyes... And his face! Like, they took inspiration from the, Richard Attenborough movie Magic.
Yes.
With the design of Chucky. Because like in that movie with Anthony Hopkins as a ventriloquist doll, and the doll looks more and more like him over the course of the movie, in this, they've got a living doll, and they did that thing where, like, as the film progresses... After it's revealed he's definitely alive, Chucky looks more and more solid, like real, less plastic, more flesh. Like his hairline starts to recede a bit, and instead of the big boff like going across his face, it's more going back. And his little frown, like his frown shows up, so the wrinkle lines stay. He gets his little piggy face.
Little piggy face.
His little piggy face. I love that face. I love the fact that when NECA started making the toys, they picked that face first. because his screaming face is... Long before 2017 Pennywise was doing it, Chucky was going, ah! Doing it for years, for decades, mate.
That's how you get a puppet to come at you.
Favourite moment from Child's Play? Memoir.
I've got to go. I have a date with a 6-year-old boy. Just the sort of...
Which, in context,
yeah.
makes sense.
It's that voodoo scene and the sort of glee
when he takes
Chucky takes.
When he takes out John's doll. It's like, you really shouldn't show your customers where you keep this stuff. And it's like, nah. I mean, I know we're watching a doll possessed, but he's not going to... Guy's leg snaps in half.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God!
The glee that he shows in that scene, just tormenting people, is great.
It's amazing. For me, it's when Karen gets home after Andy's been taken into care, and she's just, pissing and moaning at this doll. And she's like trying to see if it's defective, see if it's talking. Nothing happens, and she goes to the box, and she lifts up the box, and the batteries fall out. Because that's the first moment in the movie where you get the confirmation that, yes, this thing might be alive. Before this, all evidence points to it maybe being Andy.
Yeah.
Like, they're not trying to frame him, but when you look at it, you go, oh, the good guy doll shoes in the flower, and...
There is that ambiguity.
And the height of the killer, could be Andy. But then she lifts him up, turns him round, peels off the overalls, opens the battery hatch, there's nothing there, and without skipping a frickin' beat, the head just turns around, all smiling, and goes, "Hi, I'm ChuckyWatch!" She drops him, and he rolls into the couch. It's like, oh, that whole scene that unfurls then is so creepy. But it's that moment, it's when the batteries hit the floor, and there's a crash zoom, like a classic 80s crash zoom. And it's brilliant. I love Child's Play, and I still... I find it hard to rank the movies. They're definitely movies I prefer more than the other ones.
Yeah.
But I think if you were like, people were like, what's this about? This is still the one I'd say, watch that.
Oh yeah, I mean,
this is the starting point for me.
The others depend on how much of a stomach you have for goofy horror movies. But I think this one is solid enough to stand on its own as a yeah, like I say, it has got that comic tongue-in-cheek edge to it, but it's also a really good, solid horror movie that plays on some pretty common fears. Yeah. If you don't like dolls,
or hobos.
Well, that just means you're a bigot.
We'll see you next time for Child's Play 2, which is going to be over on my channel. So if you're watching this after the first night, there'll probably be a link here between our heads. We'll see you later. Goodbye, loves.